Welcome to the Snakes and Ladders podcast in association with Hunting for Profit, in-play horse racing trading education courses and online academy. Welcome to the first and possibly the last ever podcast of Snakes and Ladders in association with Hunting for Profit. I've invited two guests along. They are both long-term members in Hunting for Profit. Paul and Mike, welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mike.
How are we doing?
Go on, Paul. You go first.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
You're not in a queue. I know it's
I
2 metre rule at the minute, but fucking hell.
I was going to go age before beauty, but there we go. Evening all. Evening. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's safe. Strange times we're living in.
Very, very strange times. Very strange times with what's going on in the world. Hence why I decided to give a podcast a go, see how we go. Like I say, it'll probably be the last one. But we'll see how we go. What are we drinking tonight?
Well, I've actually cracked open. I've got a bottle of Corona. no total puns, please. And I've actually got a glass of white on the go tonight. A glass of Pinot Noir.
What are you sat at a wedding? Whites for weddings?
Well, no, I thought I wanted to be sensible for the podcast, so I didn't want to go too heavy on the Merlot.
No, that'd have been dangerous.
Yeah, correct.
I'm on the Scotch.
Oh,
No messing about there.
you're not fucking
I'm
about,
on
is it? I've just got a beer, Moretti. A couple of Morettis on the go.
That's
But
Support
I might hit
Italian
the Merlot
economy.
after. Sorry?
Support the Italian economy.
You've got to do, haven't you? You've got to do. So, yeah, funny times that we're in at the minute. Obviously, we don't want to waffle on about coronavirus all night because most people are probably fed up of watching it and reading about it on the news and on social media. So hopefully this pod will take them away from it for a bit, and we can talk about trading and any other dribble that we've been doing lately. No trading on really, is there at all?
Well,
Not for us.
There is if you want to trade some Swedish harness racing or some Australian dog racing. I mean, it's all there for you.
Yeah, I've seen it. Do you know what? I've seen people have been trying to trade Australian and American racing, horse racing. I totally ignored that. Then I've seen people say on like social media that they've been trading some football non-league or lower league Swedish stuff. And then the other thing I saw today was people trading virtual sports. There's been quite a lot of money gone through it. It's absolutely crackers. I mean, I put it on Twitter the other day that if you're really scrapping about looking for a trade or a bet, then you know you may well have a problem. Go and seek help if you can.
Well, I know what you mean because since Christmas I've been scrapping around for drink. Hence why I'm drinking this white wine tonight.
Well, needs and must.
Absolutely. But I think, yeah, it'd be interesting actually because I think ITV are actually doing a virtual Grand National Saturday. So it'd be interesting to see whether the bookmakers are taking bets on that. And if they are, what the outcome of the race will be, because surely everybody and their dog will be rooting for Tiger Roll and be putting money on Tiger Roll. So if they are, it's very, very interesting what the bookmakers will do because they could be on for a real hammering. And would they have Tiger Roll to win, or would they have it to place? But there I am. That shows how desperate I am. I'm talking about a virtual horse race.
I was just going to say, who organises the algorithm that trades the virtual races?
honestly don't know. I would imagine, obviously, the bookmaker run, and they are specifically for the bookmakers to make money when there is a lack of racing or any opportunity to try and take money off of mug punters. But with it Saturday, I think ITV are actually showing it.
Sounds a bit dodgy to me.
Yeah, they normally show it on TV, don't they, the day before, I think, before the actual real race.
Yeah.
The cynic in me says that the book, loads of people are piling on Tiger Roll, and then he won't win.
Yeah, no, well, absolutely, yeah. But to be framed, certainly to be framed. But we'll see.
Yeah,
anything like that's got to be set up for the book, isn't it? It's like playing online poker against the software that you're using. It's got to be stacked against you, or casino, or fob tees, or anything like that. It's got to be stacked for the bookmaker, surely.
You'd think so, and to be betting on something like that is just absolute bonkers in my eyes. Absolutely bonkers.
Sure is.
I did have a look at the American and Australian racing on Saturday, just to cure my own mind, really, and have a look and see what was going on. The Australian markets were very poor in liquidity. The American markets were better, but for what we do, I didn't see any opportunities. Maybe there is for scalpers or somebody doing something else pre-race, but for what we do, trading your system, Matt, I couldn't see where there was any opportunities. Just looked like really thin, dangerous, gappy markets.
I suppose it depends as well what you're staking in. It is what you can get in and what you can get out of the market. I mean, I mean, I'm not in any form of social media, so I stay away from it. I've only go in on what people have told me, but I'm guessing what people are putting in are micro stakes and just playing around just for the fun of it. Do you reckon that would be the case?
Well,
yeah, possibly, or promoting their own services.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to stake. From what you've said, and I haven't looked at the markets lately, but when I have looked at them markets in the past, you wouldn't be able to stake big. You'd only be able to stake really small. But again, it's about, like you've said, liquidity and can you get your money out? It's easy to get your money in trading, but you need to be able to get it out. That's the key for me. If I can't get my money out, or it is incredibly risky of which way it's going to go, whether you're backing or laying, then no, I'm just not interested. It's just, you may as well wait for the proper racing to come along.
Talking of which, there was I don't know if anybody's seen it, but the BHA have put together a plan, and it's on their website, of the way back into racing when they're looking to try and resume on May the 1st. Yeah,
that sounds, well, you'd imagine they would be planning all the time. With the trouble is with this virus is it's just changing daily, isn't it? We don't know, we don't have a clue when things are going to start up again.
I think what they was trying to say is perhaps resuming May the 1st behind closed doors. This is the gist of the information they was given. Behind closed doors, with regional racing, because obviously we're blessed that we've got Moulton, Newmarket and Epsom or Lambourne, with courses close by, so people are not travelling distances, and using former racecourse doctors that are retired, and or local ambulance services and local ambulance people that are retired to keep the sport going. Right. Which is a good initiative, really, if they can get it going by May the 1st. I mean, in your opinion, be interested to hear your opinion, do you think we was too late in closing or too early in closing in the UK?
It's really hard to tell, isn't it? It's really hard to form a solid opinion on that. I think it's, I mean, the Irish carried on for a bit longer because I believe that their ambulances are privately run. But even they've stopped now.
I mean, Cheltenham came in for a whack of criticism for going ahead.
Yeah.
But they followed the government guidelines. I mean, a time will tell, but I don't know. It's like you say, it's so difficult to make these calls, isn't it?
I'm kind of glad the way the UK's responded to it, really. I think they haven't been too heavy-handed like they have in on the continent, you know, having permits to go out and shop and go everywhere. The confusion is all the different constabularies are interpreting it in different ways. But I think I'm glad to see the UK's plotted its own course. maybe they have bowed to pressure. Maybe the lockdown wasn't really what the government wanted to do, but caved in. Time will, as Paul said, time will tell. Later on, when it all gets dissected.
Yeah, and there's all these decisions being made, all over the place with businesses, not just sport. When you think they're talking about, well, the government are telling us now that you can't be within a couple of meters from people. Well, when the Irish racing was before it did finish, they were loading in the horses into the stalls like normal, and there's no way people were 2 meters away from each other.
No.
I'd imagine if it came back, you'd have to have a horse. You'd have to miss a stall, and you'd have a horse in every other stall, so people aren't that close to each other. I don't know. It's a very, very tricky one, isn't it? And something they've got to get right.
If you want to be literal about it, the owner would have been less than 2 meters away when he gave the jockey a leg up. So it depends how far you want to take it, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's obviously sport's not, the priority at the minute, but that's what we're here for. That's what we trade. So it is a good talking point, and it's a difficult one for the BHA and the Irish Horse Racing Association to get right. I'd imagine it's like you say, they're going to have to go off whatever the government give to them. But it might be a case of the racing restarts and then it stops again.
I suppose they have to plan for all eventualities. They have to plan for the 1st of May, but they're personally speaking, I don't think it's going to happen. But I suppose they have to plan for it, and maybe they plan in 14-day increments or things like that. But
yeah, I would assume so. If it isn't 1st of May, it could be 1st of June or 1st of July or whatever. It's a tricky one, isn't it?
The problem is that they they let everybody try and use common sense, and as we all know, most of the Great British public have got very limited or no common sense. I'll tell you a funny story today. I was out and it says shopping for essentials only. So I've got 2 young children and having to keep them going. I mean, they're eating us out of house and home at the moment, just from being off of school. So just to make the local local journey to the local spa. And there's a guy in front of me in his grey tracksuit bottoms, and he's buying an energy drink and a Milky Bar.
Did you have arrows on the floor in your supermarket?
We did, yeah. But you're just thinking, I mean, at what part is an energy drink and a Milky Bar an essential good?
I think people. No, you're right, and when this all kicked off, a lot of people flapped and panicked, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's why the supermarkets just emptied. I think some people were scared that you're going to be locked down, you can't leave your house, so hence why all the bog roll have gone missing and being bought out, and it's just crazy, and a lot of selfish people out there, really.
What was good today? Terry Waite was on Sky News. And he said he was chained to a wall for 23 and a half hours a day and allowed half-hour comfort break a day, blindfolded, for 1,763 days. And he made a point. He said, you're not stuck at home, you're safe at home. And I thought that was really, it really sort of hit home to me, thinking, well, yeah, actually, you've got everything around, you've got all your comforts. If that's what we need to do to come together and fight what we've got to fight, then that's what we need to do, isn't it? And if racing is delayed longer than May the 1st and it rolls into June, July, August, it's not ideal. But ultimately, people's health and well-being has to be paramount in this situation, don't they? Paramount in this situation.
Do you know what the first thing he asked for when he got back to, Blighty?
No.
Milky Bar and an energy drink.
That's why they're popular.
Exactly.
And racing had a victim today, sadly. Just wanted to mention this as well. Paul Townend, a guy who owned a lot of the Surrey horses. You see them, Surrey Thunder's one. There was Surrey Ranger, I believe. There was lots of different horses, and then with the prefix Surrey. He sadly passed away of the virus today, so condolences to his family.
Yeah, definitely. I saw that. Yeah, it's not good, is it?
Not at all.
But it's easy. It's like as a full-time trader, you know, my life hasn't really been impacted as of yet. You know, my wife is what they class as a key worker. She works in care, so she's going out doing that, and I'm just sat on my arse at home at the minute. And you know, the garden's getting the attention it's needed for a long time. So managing to do other things, but in terms of me, it's not changing that much. And you know, there are people out there, particularly obviously the NHS and nursing staff and stuff, that are absolutely fighting this off, and full respect to them. And you know, what I'm trying to say is it's really easy for me to sit here with a beer and just chat away. There's people that are being affected by it far more. Well, but you've got to do what you've got to do, haven't you?
Well, even to the degree today, it didn't really hit home. And you're thinking, as it's becoming more and more, not serious, but it is deadly, is that the people that are working in the supermarkets, the young girl today, they said she's probably on minimum wage, 0-hour contract, and she's standing there putting stuff through the till, and you're thinking, she's at risk. She's seeing lots of people through the till, lots of contact, lots of social contact. She didn't have any PPE on. All that was there was a piece of cling film, which was meant to be a sort of a shield from the general public. But she's still handling the stuff I handled and the person behind me. So fair play to them and fair credit to them as well.
Yeah. I have actually volunteered for the NHS volunteers thing. I don't know what it'll entail, but there's thousands that have done it, that have volunteered for it. So
they got a good response.
Yeah, I don't know what it'll entail. It might be picking up somebody's shopping that can't, or whatever. But
it shows what a special breed of person, though. I mean, I was looking at the numbers today, and 6,100 retired nurses have come out of retirement to go back in and work for the NHS, and you just think that's unbelievable, really. I mean, that's not, you know. They're older as well, so because they're retired, they're older, they're at a greater risk.
Yeah,
these people are not. These people are a different breed. They don't do it for money. They do it for, it's a calling, isn't it? It's a love. It's just very special.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. Yeah. It's all of that is another world.
Yeah,
it's another world that we're completely removed from.
Yeah. So what have you guys been doing then? Because there's been no trading on. You done anything different, or?
It's a big. But personally, I trade kind of 5-6 days a week. So there's a massive void to fill. Ireland, when it was on, filled a tiny bit of that. It's just filling the time in, really, which is quite difficult. You know, obviously loads of sort of TV and reading and. Trying to stay away from the mainstream news, which is far too depressing and sensationalist for my liking. Each to their own. Catching up with friends. Just that, trying to have that human social interaction, doing things like this, like, you know, video calling friends, so at least you see a face and you interact as you would. Because I mean, you walk out. You could walk on the high street, walk around the supermarket, like people are just sort of like all sizing you up, and they sort of like run away from you. It's it's really weird. Well, maybe they do that anyway.
That's just you, Mick.
I know.
I quite like that. You know, just go to the shops, get your stuff, and fuck off home. But no, it's very
how are you feeling your time?
Me? I'm I've got 2 small children. My wife's off work at the moment. She's a nurse, but she's 7 months pregnant, so she can't work at the moment. So she's off sick. Work have just put me furlough from tomorrow for 2 months. But my boss has been absolutely fantastic. They've really looked after us, and there's no sort of no threats of losing our jobs. Touch wood. So for me, I've been homeschooling. The boys, who are 5 and 7. I've been sorting out lots of stuff, getting ready for the new baby, for the new arrival. I've been clearing out cupboards, but what I've decided to do, I didn't want to peak early because I know this could be a long haul, so I'm doing half a cupboard a day.
You sound like me in the garden. I'm digging.
Glass
I'm digging a metre square a day.
Well, I opened the cupboard this morning. I did the glasses this morning, and I'll be doing the cups tomorrow afternoon. So yeah, no, but to be honest, it's quite nice to with so much going on in the world, young family, trading, working, just to sit and play cards with my kids, just to sit and set up a train set, just to sit and. Yeah. We got a dog. I mean, even a dog don't want to go for a walk anymore. We're quite lucky where we live. Where we live is quite sparse. So you can take the dog frequently and not bump into anybody. So it's quite nice in that respect. But even now, the dog doesn't want to go for a walk anymore.
Have you seen that meme? Have you seen that meme on social media of it? There's a dog stood on top of the kitchen cupboards, and he's saying, "Piss off! I've been walked about 12 times today. I wish this virus would go away."
Yeah. So the dog's walked out. She's as fit as a fiddle. And every time I go to the fridge, it says, "Not you again, fatty." I've never eaten so many Rocky biscuits in my life.
Yeah, we're taking longer dog walks as well, actually.
Yeah, I mean, this will do a few things to people. I think it'll make people refocus on what's actually important in life, and it will make or break a lot of relationships. In the day 7.
Absolutely.
Day 7, and yeah, it is tough.
The trouble is, we've got everything on a plate, haven't we? A lot of people in our society, and to be restricted to your home, you know, some people have mental breakdowns over it. It's crackers, like you said with the Terry Waite thing. You've got to learn to adapt. You've got to crack on and get on with it. There's always going to be somebody worse off than you. It's simple as that. And however long it lasts, it could, you know. And I do feel for people if they're sat on their own and they want to interact with people. It's difficult, very difficult.
I think that's a very important point. You know, you've both got kind of like kids and sort of like family around you. Okay, me, it's my wife and I've got my dogs, but at least you've got some companies, people who, you know, like we used to walk over the woods until we had a card put on our window on Friday and said, you know, non-essential travel. But there's kind of old ladies who go up there and they meet friends up there. You know, they're going to be missing that kind of companionship. So yeah, there's always.
I wouldn't be bragging about going to meet old ladies in the woods. I mean, I know. Listen, dogging's very popular in Sussex.
Yeah, it gave me a chance to put my Mac in the washing machine.
Oh dear, terrible. God, we've gone off track now, aren't we?
We always will.
We're supposed to be talking trading, and we end up talking about dogging. It's gone downhill.
Trading.
24 minutes into this, and it's gone downhill already.
He started it.
So let's go back onto trading. Let's go away from the coronavirus. At the start, I did want to sort of. It's hard not to talk about it because it is the topic of the century at the minute. It's the thing that's happening in front of our eyes. But if we go back to trading, how did you guys get into it in the first place?
Me, I was living in Thailand at the time. Got into trading on Betfair just after the financial crash, actually. Started messing about doing lay the draw and stuff like that, betting on golfers, laying golfers, just going around in circles, losing money, obviously.
Yeah.
And sort of messed about with that until I came back to the UK in 2015 and went on Steve Howe's course in early 2016. Mixed results there. I know it works for some people, and there's people in our group who are still with Steve. So, personally speaking, it didn't really work for me long term. And then you set up your organisation, and I thought, well, I'll give that a go. Quickly sacked off the pre-race and immerse myself in your system, and have been banging away at that since about August 2017. And yeah, it took a while, but it works for me. So I'm just really glad I found something that works for me. That's kind of a small summary of my journey.
And what about your journey with it in running? How's that sort of panned out? Is there any part of it that you found easier? Like, did you find, say, trading longer races easier or shorter races, or was it easier over the jumps, or was it easier on the flat or the all weather? Is there any sort of area that you found easier or harder to grasp first?
I think everybody's in running journey is different, and I think a lot of people have different circumstances. I was quite lucky that I was kind of more or less retired, so I could give it the time. I could kind of I could do it during the day, and I could do the all weather in the evening and watch the videos. I could give maximum time to it. I haven't got young kids. My wife's a diamond, so I could just really crack on with it. Whereas I know a lot of people struggle with the time element, kids, partners, wives, work, all those kind of things that really, get in the way of like getting your head down and really immersing yourself in it. So I think I was quite lucky there, and I could really crack on with my apprenticeship, because that's effectively what it is.
Yeah.
I found the national hunt in the beginning, I kind of got my head around that fairly quickly. Okay. But I struggled with the flat, and out of the two, I do find the national hunt easier. I find the flat harder.
Right. Yeah. See, I've had people say to me that they found it easier to learn the flat first and national hunt second, but I was the same as you. I picked up national hunt much better, and yeah, it's definitely the best out of the two in my opinion. But there are opportunities on the flat, and when the racing is back, that is, over the summer months there's a lot of racing on, so you can get stuck into it. It's obviously you don't want to get sucked in and over trade, if you like. But you raise a good point about time. You need time to do this. I think in any form of trading, you cannot beat screen time. If you think you're just going to jump on a course or read a book on trading or psychology or whatever, and then click away. And I understand some people automate stuff and do other ways of trading, but again, there's still testing systems, etc. So you need to put time into it. It's as simple as that. Like you say, it's an apprenticeship.
It is, and everybody's different. Some people will be gung ho. Some people will be risk averse. Everybody, builds their in running journey differently. So it's very hard to sometimes explain to kind of like where you are with it, and somebody else will approach it completely differently. So, as you said, some people will prefer trading the flat. They'll get their head around that. I just find the national hunt is more forgiving. But yeah, the flat is the flat. It dominates 6 months of the year at least, and we have to adjust accordingly to it. There's more of it. You just personally speaking, again, you just drop your stakes a little bit, but you've got more trade. So hopefully one counteracts the other.
Yeah, what about yourself then, Paul?
Mine was a similar story to Mick's, really, but with the difference was I'd never had any interest or never really heard of trading, to be perfectly honest. I was a form book man, and used to just continually have my head in a form book looking at various aspects of form, specialised in handicap chases, class 3 and 4, and I wasn't really interested in anything else. And a good friend of mine, he'd done Steve's course, and he recommended it to me. Said, it's a different way of seeing racing. You should perhaps do it just to further your knowledge. So I did Steve's course, and now I was the worst pre-race trader you've ever met in your life. I was absolutely shocking. I didn't have the patience. I didn't have the skill set required, and it is a slightly different skill set to in running. That's not to say it doesn't work, because clearly people do very well at it, and clearly, you know, it works for people very well. But it just wasn't for me. And obviously in that time I'd met yourself, and when you said you was going in running, I found your information always very good and very useful in Steve's room, and the way I could read a race coupled with applying that to the ladders seemed to make sense for me. So I went took my journey in running. I must admit, trading at various times has really tested me both mentally and financially. It's been a real struggle in parts, a real struggle. And I think there was one day that I really sat down to you and opened up and pretty much just put it all on the line and said exactly where I was at and how bad it was, and you know, how it was just getting on top of me, and I was ready to pack in. And I think you said to me, well, try this, small stakes, execute. It's not to say I've not gone off the road since then, because I have. I'd be lying to say, oh, it's all gone perfectly since that point. But I've never forgotten that. And gradually, it's like I said in chat room the other day, it's like peeling an onion, every different layer, until you get into the finer points, if you like. And for the last year and a half, I've been regularly profitable. I've been regularly doing really well, applying your method and your strategy to the markets, and learning every day, really.
Yeah, I think you both hit on something important there, that certain types of trading will work for certain people. I think a lot of it's down to your personality. Like you say, pre-race will be for some, they won't be for others. In running, it'll be much preferred for others. I think it's just down to finding what works for you. You know, some people, I imagine, they trade football because it's more drawn out and it's a lot slower, so they've got more time to make decisions. Whereas in running on horses, the decisions are quicker. New people coming into it, sometimes they're like a rabbit in headlights, because they're like, bloody hell, that moves quickly, and they're not quite sure what they're looking at. But when you understand the whole picture, which you guys do now, you understand what I call the trading jigsaw, the whole picture of it. All, you know, you've got all the parts of the jigsaw together. It all comes together, and it's down to that screen time. The more markets you watch, ideally, the better you're going to get.
Yeah, and I think as well is that I don't think initially, and this is what I would say to, you know, I'm not a trading guru or celebrity trader by any stretch of imagination, but people don't prepare themselves for the journey and the questions that are asked of themselves when they first start. Because the prima trading is, you see somebody doing it on a screen or on a video, and it's just there. You can touch it, but it's always moving away from you. You can touch it, but it's always moving away from you. You have to be prepared to expose all of your flaws and really do some deep soul searching. I know it sounds a bit heavy, but you have to be prepared to go to places that are very, very, very uncomfortable, and are very, 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 they'll ask a lot of yourself, and you have to come up with the right answer and an honest answer. And I think unless you're prepared to do that, it's very, very difficult to make regular money at trading.
Yeah, I agree. There's an enormous psychological and emotional roller coaster to go through. I'm sure there's probably people that don't do that. There's people who have already got that skill set to go through it. But yeah, it is tough. The discipline, the focus. You know, you blow a few banks. You ask serious questions for yourself. Is it for me? Can I do this? Ego. All the things that we discuss, and Matt, you know, does in his videos and his debriefs, all those kind of things crop up. And as you say, Paul, you have to ask yourself some serious questions. You have to be completely honest with yourself. Yeah, it can be tough. I'm sure there's people that do find it easier than maybe we have, and I'm sure there's people that find it harder than we have, because everybody's different. Yeah. But yeah, it's, at the end of the day, it is a journey, though. For some, it may be a tough journey and some it may be easier, but nevertheless, you do learn things about yourself. That's a very good point.
Yeah, there's there's a couple of things that really helped me. Was firstly coming off of social media. It's just the biggest pile of shite, in my opinion.
Massive distraction
for a trader, a novice trader. It puts you in the wrong direction because when I was on social media a year ago, sort of 18 months ago, it was just, and that's when I came off, and it was no coincidence, in my opinion, that my trading improved because I was not comparing myself to other people. I was not listening to experts that are really no better traders than anybody. They are just there to be famous or to crave attention or to just be something they're not really, because and that's the problem with trading. There is no ombudsman, if you like, for saying who's good, who's not, like trustatrader.com.
The Master Guild of Traders.
Yeah, that's right. But so I find that's been brilliant for me. And the other thing is just respecting my stop loss. I just respect my stop loss when I know.
Yeah.
I need to get out. That is the king. Just gone. I'm just gone. There's no hanging about anymore. Where before I'd dither and hang about, I'm just gone. It's gone. It doesn't matter because I know if I do that every time, I'll make money.
Yeah, there's all these kind of watershed moments in running trading. It's kind of like if you've got if you've got like Bill Gates and I don't know, another group of anonymous billionaires together, they'd have a conversation and they'd say, when did you make your first million? And they'd all be wanking themselves silly about it. We would say, when did you learn to take a red? It's kind of it's a big kind of it's a real big moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
The craving attention thing is interesting what you said, because I find it interesting people's sort of the way they are socially on the internet, what people type and sort of where they are at their journey. I can tell by some, not all the time, but sometimes by what people say online, kind of where they are on their journey. The craving attention thing's interesting, I think, because it's a lot of people will come from walks of life and from jobs where they've had a pat on the back from their boss and they've said well done, or they've got a trophy for something, or they've got a certificate or a bonus at work for being an excellent employee. And I think a lot of humans do, they want that, they crave that that sort of pat on the back, that well done. But in trading, you don't really get it. I mean, one-to-one, when I speak to people that PM me and stuff online in the group, when they've told me about their journey, when they've improved, obviously I give them a lot of high praise because it's just absolutely fantastic to see. But that actual wanting daily praise and constant sort of want of that pat on the back, you can't, you don't need that in trading, because you have to be so focused, and being focused is massive. It's the biggest thing. You have to understand yourself as a person, but you have to focus so well, and all that attention of look at me, look how well I've done. I know you guys know, and on social media I don't post any previous trades, because to me that trade's gone now. It's irrelevant. It's done. It means absolutely nothing to me. It's all about what's happening now in the present time, and the future. And so what if you made 200-300 quid in that last trade? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. You've got to move on and focus on what you're doing, because if not, the market will bite you on the arse.
Yeah, I think the size of a green, and you got in, I got in here and I got in there, that's relevant to you and you only.
Yeah.
What's relevant to the group, for me, and again, everyone's different. For me, it's like a kind of like support, camaraderie type thing. Is kind of, celebrating there was an opportunity, and identifying where the opportunity was, and that's where you just kind of got a community thing from it. But literally, I made X and I entered point A and exited at point B. Look at me. That's not for me. It just doesn't. It doesn't. It's not informative, and there's no context. So I kind of think, what's the point? But
it's not educational at all, is it?
No, but sometimes people get a bit excited, don't they? So you have to be a bit forgiving.
Well, new people do, and we've all been there. I remember making my first £100 green, and I was shaking like a shitting dog, and then I've made it, and I'm like, wow, fucking hell, this is brilliant. The same as any the first green you make, you think, fuck, blimey, I'm onto something here.
I remember I was a bit like that when I made my first $5,000 green trade. Yeah.
but that's the whole part of the ego, though, isn't it? It's the whole ego thing. It's about finding yourself and understanding yourself. And
I'll give you an example, and it's true, Matt, because just before Christmas, I was making money regularly, but never really had any money as such because I was just wasting it or just living it. Now, part of my thing is I've had to learn how to manage money.
Yeah.
There's obstacles at every step of the way because you think, right, well, I can do it, and every step of the way there's an obstacle that comes which makes you think and makes you reassess what you're doing and how you're doing it, and that's why I quite enjoy it because it's a never-ending journey.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, like when the Irish racing was on, that was a new challenge because you've only got one meeting, and people would have fallen into the classic trap. Don't get me wrong, I've been in that trap before, and I'm sure we all have. One meeting, you kind of like, there's this pressure on you to enter every single race and maximise it, and it's just not appropriate. There was one day where we had, I can't remember the venue, we had flat racing in Ireland. Was it Cork? I can't remember now. And it was shocking.
I've had a drink since then.
It was shocking. I didn't enter one single race. But it could take it as a positive, Bank
that was nice.
Yeah. But the bank, I know it's corny, but the bank was intact, and learning a year ago, I probably would have entered 3 races and lost money. So, it's all part of that learning curve, isn't it?
I think it's once you realise that you can do it well and do it regularly, the sort of, not panic, but the want to do becomes less. Because that if you once you're confident and competent in what you're doing, the want to do, you think, I can remember, this is true, I can remember doing a full day's work, coming in from work straight away, no hello to my wife, no hello to the family, straight up on a laptop, straight up, fire it up, bang, 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 rush. Yeah. Frustration, bank gone, 50 quid gone, 100 quid gone.
Yeah.
All because of the want to do, because I felt like I had to be doing something to be successful.
Yeah,
but it's quite the other way. It's a really weird thing to say, but you've got to want it, but not want it too much.
No, it's I think there's people who are under pressure. I don't know any personally, but I'm sure there are people, maybe some in our group that kind of say, right, okay, I'm going to set myself a target. I'm going to learn how to trade in running, and I've got a 12-month target, and maybe it doesn't go as well as to be expected, and they start forcing it, start forcing those trades. And
I've done it, Mick.
Maybe the partner, their partner is going, how'd you get on? You think things like that, or even worse, someone maybe gives up work, or they're made redundant, or they retire or whatever, and they say, I've got to make X, and in the first month they don't make X. Now they've got to make Y. I think you've got to. Again, everyone's different, but I think you need, if you're going to trade in running and you give up your full-time job, I'd say you need somewhere between a year and 2 years' salary to live off.
Well, can you imagine doing it? Can you imagine doing it now? You've given up work 2 weeks ago to trade.
Timing is essential. Yeah, it'd be a nightmare, wouldn't it? If you switched to it a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
But I'm very thankful, and I don't mean this to sound. I know. We take the piss out of each other and enjoy a laugh and a joke. But obviously Matt's group and Matt in particular. Sorry, Matt. I know you're in the room. but it's not always.
We're not all in the same room, by the way.
No. But
got social distancing.
Well, Mr. Matt, you're always in my room. There's a lovely picture above you, above my desk. But you know, it's not always an arm around the shoulder and a cuddle, and it's not always what you want to hear, but it's always right and it's always good information. It's always clear information, and from that, it can really toughen you up. And not only that, it's straight. There's no bullshit. It won't put you on a path that you think, well, that could do. It's straight. It's no bullshit. And I thank you very much. You've really sort of, not just my life, my family's life as well. You've made it much better.
Lovely words to hear. Kind words. In terms of how I approach it, is how I approach it myself. I think sometimes, straight, honest words is what people need. There's no point buttering it up and pretending that it's something it isn't. It's certainly what I've never done on the courses or online. And I know that, my approach is not for everybody. And some people probably think, fuck off. I'm not listening to you, mate. That's up to them. I can't change my personality or who I am. It is what it is. Just going back on what you said about you sort of finding yourself, really, you sort of find that calmness towards your trading, where you're happy to sit out a lot of markets. But on the flip side, it's also a case of it's all right stripping it right back, so you're not entering hardly any. But obviously, when there's obviously you have your system, you have your method, however you're going to trade, and you wait for that edge, if you like, whatever you want to call it, to materialize. It's all right stripping it right back, so you hardly enter. But what you have to make sure as a trader as well is you do maximize them opportunities. If there's several really good opportunities, then hit them hard, And if there isn't opportunities, like you said the other day, when the markets weren't very good, probably not very good liquidity, whatever, then you sit them out. But it's finding that real balance. If you can find that balance, and I find that if you find the balance with every part of your trading, it sort of comes as one. You find that calmness towards your trading. And what we were talking about earlier in the pod about what's going on in the world at the minute, and the fact hardly any trading's on now, and there's people trading on virtual racing and crap liquid races in wherever, Australia and America and stuff. Again, it's the same thing. You look at the market. Is the market not very good? No, then just leave it. And it's like you said, guys. You're at that point where you can just say, nah, no, thank you. And switch off your PC. And very difficult if you're under pressure to make money. But
yes,
you can't be in that position.
No. But I think it's important that people go and do that research for themselves. They actually, open up their software, whatever it is, Gruss, whatever, BA, and load up their ladders, load up the markets, and have a look and make that decision for themselves.
Totally. Yeah.
I think you because you've got to, at the end of the day, you're not clicking people's mouse. We're all clicking our own mice. Sorry. Mispronunciation of a plural there. You make the decision, you click, you decide when you go in the market and when you get out. So I think you've got to be adult enough to say, well, I'm going to have a look at Australian racing, and I've got to make the decision whether it's like shit or not. It's good that you advise us and you say, personally speaking, it's not for us, but I think people should investigate themselves and have a look themselves and make that call themselves.
Well, yeah. I think, like you said earlier, you hit the nail on the head, Mick, earlier when you said it's almost like an apprenticeship. It's no good saying to somebody, you do a course, there's a bag of spanners, you're now a plumber.
Yeah.
You need to get that experience. You need to get that feel. You need to understand different scenarios, different situations. You need to experience. Not for me. I always find trading a real grind, and I don't think I'm giving any secrets away. When it's heavy going, the pace of the race is slow. Everything sort of crawls, and then bang, they try and sprint off from the back of the second last, and it makes trading and running difficult.
Mm.
Yeah. It can do, yeah. It can do that.
Yeah, it's like anything. The first time. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, so it's just little things like that you pick up on your journey, and you think, well, you know, that you get in your toolbox, if you like, and you know when to play it and when not to.
Yeah, it's like the first time you ever attempted foreplay.
Yeah.
And that's what's good for the Skype rooms that we've got with all the members in, because obviously you've got experience of picking up bits and bobs that, you know, this track is suited for this, and this is happening and that's happening, and that's what's good for it on a day-to-day basis. People see things, and at the end of the day, we're all learning, and I'm still learning. We're all learning on our journey. You know, you never are the full shebang in trading. You're always picking up little bits and bobs off different people, and when you come together as a group, you can point things like that out, like you mentioned about the heavy going.
Yeah, and there'll always be. It doesn't matter how long you've been on your journey, or you know how experienced you are or how inexperienced you are. There'll always be somebody who spots a trade that you didn't. You'll always miss something, or you didn't get on as great a value entry as they did. You know, there'll always be that.
You know, from my debriefs in the group that I'll say in a debrief, I missed this trade, and somebody else without doubt would have got on it. And I even show trades on the course where I traded the wrong horse, but I explain why I traded the wrong, and that's the key, is understanding why you've done it wrong, or understanding what went wrong in that market. And if you can't read the market, then you're just going to be fooled by the randomness of it. Yeah. You're going to be fooled by the randomness of the market, and you're going to be fooled by the randomness of your results. But if you can read what's going on and apply yourself most of the time correctly, then you're onto something. That's key for me.
Yeah, and never thinking that you are the finished article, the complete trader, the golden gecko geezer.
Well, no, because your ego will get the better of you then, won't it?
Fatal.
Yeah. The market will just pull your pants down and have you.
Some people like all that.
Well, each for their own, eh? But no, it's true, and there are some days where, you know, you might get up and you sit down to trade and you just can't be asked, you know, especially during the summer months when there's, let's hope there is some this summer, but in the summer months it's so busy, and obviously, as you know, I'm always analysing races and stuff, so sometimes I might do sort of between 3 and 5 or 6 hours studying of the race card before the races even go off. Then you've got the whole massive race card, and some days it's like, and even an hour in, a couple of hours in, can't be asked for this. And if you can't be asked to trade and you're not interested, you're not bothered, that is a dangerous place to be in, and you're probably better off just switching it off and walking away. And the days you can be asked and you're on point and you're switched on, and it's that word again, it's focus. It's so important. Everything has to be in line with itself, and if you're on the ball and you're focused and you're switched on, then you should make less mistakes. And we are human. You're not a robot, so you're never gonna trade perfectly all the time. I say this all the time, and on every course, you will never ever perfect trading. It's impossible. You can't perfect it. But if you can do the right things most of the time, then you're onto something.
Yeah, you have to. Sometimes you got stuff buzzing around your head and you can't park it, and best thing you can do, as you say, is shut it all down and just not bother, because you're just going to get yourself into a pile of shit, aren't you? Sometimes you can park it, you can just had a row with your missus or whatever or something, but you can shelve it. At the end of the day, it can be a good distraction for you. You know, you have a little chat in Skype and concentrate on something else. So again,
that comes down to different people, different personalities. it might absolutely hinder them. They'll have their mind on, something might be going on in your personal life, and your mind's totally on that, and you might your approach to the market, it can be so slight. Your approach to the market can be so just a small tweak in the wrong direction, and that can knock you off, and that can absolutely ruin your day's trading.
I think I'd also make a kind of, these are kind of like these points come in your head and sometimes you remember them. A kind of point would make to some members, especially like newer members who maybe are struggling, and you see people typing away in the room saying, yeah, that was a good opportunity, yeah, very strong, blah blah blah, and you missed it and you think, oh god, like, what am I doing wrong? Don't forget, there's a lot of members, caveat here, don't have a problem, a lot of members load up your notes and they don't get involved in the chat rooms, and that's probably a very pragmatic approach. They just got their heads down and they're trading with no distractions on Skype. But I'd say to like newer members, we have a lot of members who don't type away, so maybe they missed out on their trades, maybe they're struggling a little bit, so you shouldn't be disheartened.
Yeah, exactly.
Very seldom now do I go day to day into the rooms.
I noticed that.
Yeah, for that reason, because I'm an unsociable bastard.
Not at all.
No, but it's just a case of, ultimately, I felt I had to do what's best for me. I know it sounds quite selfish.
No, but I totally respect it.
And I found, if I was typing, because once you become a little bit more understanding of how the markets work, you're able to duck in and out of trades a little bit more, and sort of grind a wage and grind some trades out away from the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that if I was putting that to newer type members, it may be more of a hindrance, if that makes sense, because they'll be going, well, what the fuck's he on about there? How's he got in and out of that? And not in a big headed way, just in a way that says, because you understand what's going on a little bit more, and everybody will get to that point, I'm sure.
You're talking about those like really sort of like small moves from like like a classic like moves from 4 to 3.5.
Yeah,
and
that's
then,
it.
And then you're out. You nick a few quid, and literally a few quid, like 5, 6, 7 quid.
And I found that, being in the chat room actively, I was, and I feel quite selfish sometimes, because you think, oh, that's how I learn, and people help me, and people invested time in me. But sometimes I just felt that I need to just look after and concentrate myself, because there's such a fine line between staying on that right path and veering off it, Well,
the majority of members follow that path, so obviously it's a method that works, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
For me personally, I did a job for like 30 years where I was with the public and other customers, and for me to do a job, and in running trading is a job, without any other human interaction is fucking weird. So that's why I do waffle on and type away, because I need that bit of contact. But I think you're right. Pragmatically, the sensible approach is to just get your head down and have as few distractions as possible. But you just got to do what works for you.
But that's not to say in the early part it wasn't fantastic for me, because it helped me no end.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit of a hypocrite, really, if that makes
No, I don't think there's any judgment here. I mean, you still go in the rooms and after trading in the evenings, and you still make posts about your journey and everything. So you're still giving back.
Yeah.
And on busy days anyway, when it's a very busy Saturday and stuff, it's that busy that you can't talk about every race anyway. It's just it's just race after race. So sometimes I can't talk for a while, because it just comes thick and fast.
That's
well, this time of year I love, because it's the time of year I learned to trade on the flat. Where Mick was on the jump, I learned to trade the flat, and I find the flat, because it happens so quickly, it's more responsive and it's more reactive, as opposed to the jumps where you have to wait and let it take its course, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I found that the flat just easier, but with a caveat of you won't make as much per trade, but there's more of them.
Mm. Yeah, fair comment. Yeah, I think people have to make an adjustment. There are huge similarities between the flat and the jumps, but there's also huge differences, and I think you have to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
And trading the all-weather, or just watching the all-weather in the evening, even Wolves and Dundalk on a kind of wet Monday evening, it's the last thing you want to do, and you might not even get a trade. But just by watching those markets, that will help you.
It's still education, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
So we'll probably wrap it up here because we've been going on quite a bit, and that bottle of Merlot is waiting for me.
You are around his place.
Hey.
Yeah. He is around my place. Yeah, he's just waiting.
Social distancing.
No, another sleepover.
I'm in another room.
Another sleepover I missed out on.
Yeah, we don't invite you because you're dodgy.
Oh, no.
You have to sleep with one eye open.
You're ageist, you two.
It's not that. We just don't trust people to go dogging in the woods.
Uncle Albert in the woods. The old boy of the group. So, how do you both see things going forwards?
I'll let the young man go. Let the young man go first.
Well, it's to get some racing back first.
Be nice.
For me, it's just much of the same. It's just a continual, not battle because that's not the right word, but continual learning experience. A continual. I have to work hard at it. I know I'm not. I'm not gifted as such. Where I'm always know that I'm going to have to work hard on discipline, money management, looking after myself, making sure I have good habits. Taking notice of my mood, what mood I'm in, taking all them sorts of things. It doesn't come easy to me. It's not a given that I'm going to turn up and make money, but it's just going to be more of the same. It's just going to be more of the same and enjoying it. And I've been very lucky, very fortunate. It's paid for for holidays, and it's paid for decorating the house, and it's paid for all sorts of things. And long may it continue, and I will continue to work hard at it and take nothing for granted, because if I do, the moment I do is the moment I'm in shit street, really. Yeah.
Good attitude to have.
Very similar sort of approach, really. So I mentioned before, I was more or less retired, but in running, like as Paul has said, it kind of pays for some extras. But we're planning to buy a house. Well, it was going to be this year, but that's been put on hold. We're planning to buy a house next year. So in running, trading is very, very important for me. I'll be taking on a mortgage. So, yeah, you've got to get back to it. Please, God, it'll be sooner rather than later. And you have to, it's much of the same. You just take it very seriously, try and focus and be disciplined, and not get too carried away with it. And you're always learning, So
always.
But the other thing, Matt, as well, is if any, I know it's what I always find is that I had to come to you because it's your method, it's your system, it's your approach, if you like. But if anybody is stuck and they feel they can't come to you, then I'm sure Mick and myself, we're able to try and help if we can. Do you know what I mean? I don't want people to feel because I felt sometimes that I couldn't go to certain other mentors or certain other people I went to because it just didn't feel not valued or didn't feel appreciated. I'm not saying that's the case, but sometimes it might be, how did you do this? How did you do that? Everybody's got my name on the Skype. Everybody's got Mick's. I'm sure Mick is the same. You'd be able to chat through problems with anybody, wouldn't you, Mick?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I think you have to be open and honest. I mean, all joking aside about our ages, Matt is, a lot younger than me, but I never had a problem going to a younger man and saying, "How the fuck do you do this? How do you do that?" You have to be honest.
Yeah.
And somebody might ask me for a bit of help, and they might go away and think, "God, what a fucking wanker! He was useless." But at least the help is there if you want it.
A large part of this is finding yourself and understanding your personality traits. Like I say, lots of screen time, very, very important. So a large chunk of the journey is you going away and actually doing and working it out yourself in that respect. But like you say, help along the way is helpful, just to get over those hurdles. And, there's 2 or 3 big hurdles in there as well. And it's getting over them hurdles. And sometimes, like I say to the guys in the group, record your trades, send them to me. I'll watch them back. Might be something so small, like I said, if you're not on point that particular day, just that small tweak in the wrong direction can send your trading off. And it might be something so small and so minute, like you entered the market too early, or the market wasn't liquid enough, or something happened in the race where you shouldn't have entered. There's a number of scenarios that you could think of, but so it could just be a small tweak that somebody needs along the way, just to give them that nudge to push them off over that next hurdle. Like you say, it is a journey, and it is never ending. It's the day your journey ends is when you give up, your bank goes bust, or you've just had enough, and you want to go and sit in the sun or kick a football in the garden. Hey?
Or you learn keepy uppies.
Or you learn keepy uppies in the garden. Yeah, football and garden. Yeah, exactly. So
there's always little tweaks that slight little tweaks can help. I mean, what you do on the when a kind of strong horse is trading odds on, and you bring it up on 2 ladders. That was something I never would have thought of, not in a million years.
Yeah.
And I use that, and that is really helpful. You got your exit, if it drifts, and you got all your exits planned on the other ladder.
Yeah.
And it just works really well, and it makes a huge difference. And that's something that I would advocate that people use as a tool, because it will help you.
Yeah, and there's plenty of hints like that in the 400 odd videos that I've made. So it's certainly worth members going through it, and it's all part of the education. It's important.
Yeah, and that's the thing I would say is just briefly is break it down. I used it in 2 parts. There's 2 parts to it really. Master part A, and while you're learning part B, and you won't go far wrong.
Yeah.
What's part A and part B?
I don't want to give too much away, Mike.
Is that your age?
That's the edge.
Master your edge and master your psychology.
You've got it.
All right. Okay.
We'll end on that note.
249.99 for to learn part A and B. Okay.
Can we do this again? I've quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. As long as you don't get too pissed.
Okay.
No, I have. It's been good fun, lads. It's been good fun. Well, we'll put it out there, and
you've stopped, have you?
I haven't stopped yet. No.
I'm
about to. I'm about to. I was going to say, if anybody's got any questions, neither of you two are on social media, so there's no point fucking asking on social media. But they can ask me on the links on social media, or they can email me via the website at huntingforprofit.co.uk. Drop an email if there's anything you want me to cover, or anybody you want me to get on in future podcasts. But this, like I said earlier, this might be the first and last. We will see. Thank you for joining us, gents.
No, thank you, Matt, and thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's been emotional.
It's been a pleasure.